lot of times in life, we'll start off with something, an idea in our head, and think, man, this is going to be fun, and then accidents happen. This is what happens to some of the people we're about to meet in this week's episode of Boneheaded Boaters Stories of the Week. Here we focus on some more recent news stories versus just some of the funny accidents that happen. Our first boater this week made the news up in Ohio, but not for something they did on the water, but something another passenger vehicle did. My man thought he was about to head out and go duck hunting when the vehicle behind him decided that was not a good idea, and they decided to retaliate and save the ducks and wind up striking my man's boat, knocking it free from his truck. While the truth is this may not have been intentional, it was a quick end to their duck hunting day. Our next boater is going to show us what happens when things erupt on the water. Literally erupt on the water. This is White Island, 30 miles off the New Zealand coast and New Zealand's most active volcano. This one's a little strange to me. It's New Zealand's most active volcano, yet this is a tour boat that literally just left the island moments before this volcano erupted. The people on this tour boat were exceptionally lucky. Just a few minutes later, and they could have been in big trouble. The captain of this tour boat does something pretty daring and brave as well. Most people, when they see something like this going on, are going to have a pretty immediate flight instinct, where they're going to want to get as far away as they possibly can. The thing is the captain knows there are additional people on this island that are in big trouble. These guys stay and hang out until things calm down a little bit, and they wind up taking this tour boat back in over to the island, and they actually wind up taking their dinghy over onto the island to see who they can help out, and they wind up rescuing other people. This was a pretty slick and brave call on this captain. Next boater, kind of like our first boater, is going to experience a little bit of a shortened hunting season. Right here, this is one of the stranger Coast Guard calls that I can imagine a Coast Guard person can get, but they were called in outside of New Orleans on a lake where a man had suffered a gunshot wound to the back while out hunting. So the Coast Guard had to go in and use the Coast Guard medevac to get him out. Fortunate for this gentleman, the Coast Guard came in there, airlifted him out, and he was taken to the hospital, and he is in stable condition back there. But once again, that's a pretty wild call for the Coast Guard to get. Our next boater is going to be the party boat captain. This one's not quite a news story. This actually happened about a year ago, but it came back in the news this week because the captain actually had his day in court explaining why he ran this party boat into the pier he's about to run it into, and then why he brought it back and ran into this police vessel and the dock over here as well. Basically, my man blamed it on his newborn child. He said his newborn child had kept him up so long the night before that he did not get enough sleep and wound up falling asleep behind the wheel of this vessel. How do you explain that one to your child later when he sees this news story, how you're blaming him for a boat accident? Our next boater is going to be the Jet Boat Adventure Tour, and these people got a little bit more adventure and tour than they hoped for. This is a Go Orange jet boat in New Zealand where the boat actually crashed onto the beach. They were going down the river, things got a little wild, and they wound up beaching the boat early. There were 23 people on board. They were very fortunate nobody was seriously injured in this, and at this time they have not announced an official cause of the accident, but they are doing a full investigation. If you ever see any wild boating news stories, let me know on Facebook or Instagram. Also, if you see anything crazy happening on your waterway, hit me up and let me know, and you might see that video in Boneheaded Boaters of the Week on Sundays. If you haven't already, drop an anchor on that subscribe button.